Welcome back to our channel. This is Simi Gracia of 2nd BCA, and in this video we are going to see about Java interface. Let's start with the introduction to interfaces. Before we go in, let me remind you about a OOPS basic concept, that is abstraction. Abstraction is nothing but showing the essential features, the important features, and hiding the background details and the non-important features. Alright? So that is what is abstraction. And interfaces can be easily compared to a blueprint. Alright? So when you see a blueprint, what does it say? A blueprint, what does it show? It basically shows you what is placed, right? What is placed, where it is placed, but it will not show you how it is placed, correct? The same way, interfaces will show you, or it will specify what a class must do and not how it is done. Alright? And the use of interfaces is very simple. It is used to achieve abstraction, and at the same time it is used to achieve multiple inheritance in Java. Alright? Now, the next one is defining interface. Okay? So, an interface is basically a kind of class. Correct? That is what we have concurred from the previous slide. But here, what is the basic difference between a class and an interface? If an interface is basically a kind of class, then you can also say that it's a class, right? But then no, you don't say it is a class. Why? Because the interface will only define abstract methods and final feeds. We'll discuss about that in another video. So coming back here, an interface will define only abstract methods and fields along with the required variables and methods, correct? So that is the basic difference between a class and an interface. And following below, you have a syntax. Okay, you have the syntax how an interface is written. Okay, so first you will use interface. Interface here is the keyword, all right, and then followed by the interface name in the first statement. Then next you will have the open flower bracket, and inside the open flower bracket you will have the variable declaration and method declaration. So this is how you will define an interface, and while doing so you will use the keyword interface. Okay, moving on. Now let us see an example in the same manner. Okay, so as I've said earlier, in the first statement it will be having the keyword, that is interface, and then followed by the interface name, which is item over here. Now in the flower bracket, that is nothing but the content in the interface. So here, what is the interface body? You have a variable declared here, static final int code equal to 1001. Then next statement you have another string variable, that is static final string name fan, right? And here, since it is a string, you have it enclosed within double quotes, and then in the final statement you have a method void display. After this, the example is over. So this is how you define a simple basic interface. Moving on, now we will see how an interface can be extended, right? So in classes, you say you use this word, this keyword, perhaps you use this keyword extends, and where do you use it? You use it when it comes under, when you want to inherit a class, right? What is inheritance? It's also a basic concept of OOPS. What is it? Basically, inheritance is inheriting the properties of a superclass. Okay, and who inherits these properties? The subclass will inherit these properties. So putting it in a statement, you can say when a subclass is inheriting the properties of a superclass, it is called as inheritance, right? There you go. So this is inheritance. Now in classes you call this as inheritance, but in interface you call it as extending, right? So interfaces can also be extended just like in classes, right? Here, there you in classes, no, you say one class can be inherited by another. Over here you say one interface can be sub interfaced by another one. All right, Now let's see the syntax which is given below. Here also, since we are handling interfaces, you have to mention the keyword interface followed by the name of the interface. Extends keyword is mentioned over here, meaning that inheritance is taking place, meaning the name 1. There are two interfaces mentioned here, right, in the syntax first statement, name 1 and name 2. So name 2 is the sub interface here and name 1 is the super interface. So name 2 will inherit the particular properties of name 1 interface, alright, and then followed by the body of name 2 as in the second interface. Okay, let's see an example regarding this. Okay, so earlier we also saw an interface called as item, so keep that in mind, and now we will move on to this example. Here we are also defining a new interface called item constant, and we have given the variable, we have defined the variable and method over here inside it, that is int code equal to 1001, string name equal to fan, which is enclosed in double quotes, and then you have void display method. Next, now you are going to extend your interface, as in interface item extends item constants, right? So the name 2, that is name 2 we saw earlier, that is the second interface is getting the properties from the first interface. So that is what is happening here, and inside you have declared a method. Okay, now moving on, we will see how an interface is implemented. Okay, so interfaces are used as superclasses whose properties are inherited by classes. So earlier in extending interfaces, we saw like how a class can inherit another class. An interface can also inherit from another interface. But here we are going to see how the interface properties are inherited by classes. Okay, so for this we have two syntaxes. Now the first syntax is when using the class keyword. Okay, you're starting by using the class keyword, then you're giving the class name and you're using the keyword implements here, right? You're using the keyword implements here followed by the interface name, and then you have this body of class name enclosed within the flower brackets, right? This is the first syntax. The second syntax is the same thing, but instead of using implements in the first statement itself, we will be using extends in the first statement. So let's get a closer look, as in you're using your starting class keyword, then followed by the class name, then you're using extends keyword and using the superclass, you're bringing the superclass here, okay, and then followed in the next statement you're using the keyword implements because you are implementing an interface, and then you specify the interfaces. You can either specify just one interface or you can specify multiple interfaces here. So this is kind of like, you know, you can connect this or compare this with the concept of multiple inheritance, right, where you can use many interfaces, right, as in one or two interfaces properties can be inherited by one particular class. Okay, so this is what is happening here in this syntax. Okay guys, now I hope that you got a clear idea on what an interface is and how a Java program can be written in and what are the steps you must do. I hope this was useful to all of you. Thank you. This is Simi Gresha signing off. I'll see you in another video.